Welcome everyone. This is the Indian Express of September 16, 2022, and I will explain this newspaper in three steps. First is why is the news, second is what is the news, and third is what can be the future prospects of the news. So we see first news is somewhat political. So we will move to this news, which is SEO Summits begins to table with Xi and Putin. So this SEO, which is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Why is this news has come? Because there is a meeting that has been planned in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. This is an organization which comprises of various countries such as China, Russia, Pakistan, these in one table. So it is the first, or you can say the only summit in which India and Pakistan they are at one table. So that is why it becomes more important. So first in-person SEO meeting since 2019. So last meeting occurred in person, which is face to face, in 2019. Or all of the meetings that occurred after that were virtual meetings. So we will see what exactly is the news at a time of global turbulence. And what exactly is global turbulence going on? Russia's invasion of Ukraine and China's aggressive posturing over Taiwan. We have seen both these things in news. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Samarkand in Uzbekistan Thursday night for annual summit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So Prime Minister flight landed around the time. Other leaders were at dinner hosted by Uzbekistan President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, whose country is the current chair of the organization. So Uzbekistan is the current chair of this organization. So Mr. Modi was received at airport in Samarkand by the Uzbekistan Prime Minister Abdullah Aripov. So before leaving New Delhi, what our Prime Minister has said, who will attend the summit. I have told you already that he will attend the meeting with China's President Xi Jinping, Russia President Vladimir Putin, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Iran President Ibrahim Raisi. What he said exactly is that at the SEO Summit, I look forward to exchanging views on topical, regional and international issues. So what is topical and what is regional and international issues? So it is also expected that there will be bilateral meetings between Russia, India, Pakistan, and also India and China. So at that position, India and Pakistan will discuss, I think, Pakistan flood and the assistance from India. Then India and China will discuss the Ladakh clash between them. What about India and Russia? I think oil diplomacy would be talked about, and then the invasion. I don't think so that such talks will be there. I think Prime Minister Modi has already have had enough talks in the call, in the phone call with President Vladimir Putin. So we will see. The news will come what has been discussed. Now about international issues, I think this war can be discussed, or I think Indo-Pacific region, all of that can be discussed. The expansion of SEO. So what is really the expansion of SEO? Iran wants to be, the permanent member of SEO. So expanding SEO towards Arab region, toward Gulf region, this can be discussed. And further deepening of multifaceted and mutually beneficial cooperation within the organization. So within the organization, this mutual coordination, all of that will be discussed. Now what next? So under the Uzbekistan chairship, a number of decisions for mutual cooperation are likely to be adopted. A lot of cooperation talk between all these countries and in the areas of what? Trade. So all of these countries have to cooperate in the area of trade, in the area of economy, then culture and tourism. So this will be talked between countries India, Russia, China, Pakistan. All of these would talk about these regions of cooperation. This is the first in-person SEO summit since the leader gathered at Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan in June 2019. So sources said that there are about 30 agreed documents on strengthening the multifaceted interaction between the SEO member state, and now it will be raised to a new qualitative level. So these 30 agreed documents are already there. Now this will be amended and it will be taken to a new qualitative level. So the quality and I think some amendments will be done to that. The main final document of the summit will be the Samarkand Declaration. So there will be a declaration this year in this meeting. So what this declaration is about? This declaration will reflect common approaches of SEO countries to solving regional and global problems. So this, I think whenever a declaration occurs, it is very important. We have seen a lot of declaration, Brazil declaration and other declarations. So this declaration is as important as others because it will reflect common approaches of all these countries that are part of this SEO to solve regional and global problems, and also to outline priorities. What are the priorities of all these 4 countries? And what priorities for development of the organization of the SEO. Now other key summit documents include, first is comprehensive plan for implementation of treaty on long-term good neighborliness. So you see, India is neighbors with most of the countries such as Pakistan, then China. So it wants to have a good long-term neighborliness with them, although we have seen evidently that it is not right now, but there will be a plan to make this thing possible. And then there will be treaty on friendship and cooperation, on concept of cooperation on the development of interconnectivity and creation of efficient transport corridors. So this is more suitable for Pakistan and China as they are making BRI. This BRI is Belt and Road Initiative. So China is actually making this initiative in Pakistan with a full-fledged coordination from it. So this is about Pakistan and China almost. Program for stimulating industrial corporations and regulations on honorary title of Goodwill Ambassador of SEO. So there will be also ambassador or Goodwill Ambassador of SEO. So in other organizations that you see, for example, Goodwill Ambassador of UNICEF and others. So this will also be in SEO too. Prime Minister who will be meeting President Mirziyoyev said, I fondly recall his visit to India in 2018. This is by Prime Minister Modi. He also graced the vibrant Gujarat Summit as a guest of honor in 2019. In addition, I will hold bilateral meetings. So he has now confirmed that he will hold bilateral meetings with some of the other leaders attending the summit. All the eyes will be on possible meeting with President Xi, who will be in the conference room as well as the leaders lounge Friday. So this assumes significance because you see, China has disengaged its troops from the Gogra hot springs in East Ladakh. So this becomes more important. This assumes significance in the wake of latest round of disengagement of Indian and Chinese troops at the patrolling point 15 in the Gogra hot spring area of eastern Ladakh. He has 3 scheduled bilateral meetings on the summit. first with Putin, second with Raisi. Who is Raisi? Iran's, I think, Prime Minister or President. Then Mirziyoyev, who is Kyrgyzstan leader. At a media briefing Thursday, Foreign Secretary Vinay Kwatra, he said that Prime Minister participation in the summit, it was reflection of the importance that India attaches to the SEO and its goal. So of course India give importance to SEO. We all know that. We expect that the discussions during the summit would cover topical regions and international issues. Also reform and expansion of SEO. So reform, I told you that there are some 30 agreed documents and they will be reformed. More quality would be aligned to that document. So this is called reform and also expansion of SEO. Very large Arab countries such as Iran and others wants to be part of SEO. Also security situation in the region. Our cooperative perspective in the region, including strengthening connectivity and also boosting trade, tourism in the region. So all these things will be discussed. So when asked about China growing influence over the SEO, what exactly the Foreign Secretary said? He said that India remained focused on strengthening its linkages with Central Asia and extended neighborhoods. So he does not talk about China. He completely, I think, disaligned from the question, and he is now talking about India, that India will remain focused on strengthening its own linkages with Central Asia. So we believe that it is not central to any one country. Now he has talked about China's. So he believes that it is not about just one country, China, but to the region, to the Central Asian region, India, Pakistan, China, Russia, all these comes into Central Asia, and all these countries are the part of it. Every other country has its own perspective of cooperation with Central Asian countries. So what is the perspective of India then? Every country has its own perspective. What is the perspective of India? India's perspective is complete in itself. And he said that we do not assess it from the perspective of a third country outside the region. So he said that India looks with his own eyes, not with others' eyes, such as not looking at the perspective of China or any country that is outside the region, US or any other country is talking about. So this is, I think, a bold statement that was given by him when asked about China's growing influence over the SEO. So today this meeting will be organized and we will discuss more when more details of this meeting will come in the newspaper. Now coming to first page, what is other news? So cheetahs have left Namibia for India today. So this is a news I already explained, and it was also in explained page also. So I will tell you in very short that cheetahs are coming from Namibia to India. There are no left cheetahs in India. They are all extinct in the Indian region. So now they are being arranged from Namibia to India. So they will come. Prime Minister Modi will be there in order to inaugurate this campaign. So we will see in the next day what exactly have happened. If you don't know anything about it, that you can check out this news. I've explained it in, I think, 2-3 days or 4 days ago. So now coming to our next page, this is the city page. It has only political news. Then again this is city page, more of political news. Then comes government and politics. So here comes a news. Center signs pact with 8 armed tribal groups in Assam. So why this news has come? We have already seen news about government including 4 tribes in the scheduled tribes list. So what next for tribal groups? Center has signed pact with 8 armed tribal groups in Assam. So you see this, these are the armed tribal groups in order to bring peace in the region. That is why these tribal groups have signed pact with them. So what exactly is the news? Center and Assam government on Thursday signed a tripartite agreement with 8 armed tribal groups in Assam to bring them into mainstream and give them political and economic rights. So this is the main motto. First, to give them political, and second, to give them economic rights. The group that signed the agreement, which are the groups? First is Birsa Commando Force, BCF. Second, Adivasi People's Army, APA. Third, All Adivasi National Liberation Army, AANLA. Adivasi Cobra Military of Assam, ACMA. Santhali Tiger Force, STF. Remaining 3 outfits are splinter groups of BCF. So they are part of BCF, AANLA, then ACMA. So what exactly Amit Shah, who is a Union Home Minister, what exactly he said? So we have a statement with us. We will sincerely follow everything in our agreement. The Narendra Modi government has a record that almost 93% of all promises made in various agreements have been implemented. So he is talking about statistics that 93% of the agreements were implemented, and all these agreements have established peace in the various regions of Northeast. So we have seen extreme insurgency in Northeast in the previous years. Now what government is trying to do? Government is trying to make this insurgency to a stoppage, to a halt. So that is why they are trying to sign pacts with these groups in order to see these tribals as a part of political economic sphere. What he said next? He said that today we take the responsibility of fulfilling political, also educational, and then economic aspirations of the tribal peoples in Assam. So whatever is their demand from the government, or you can call whatever is the grievances that these people face, or these people have complaints, all of these will be taken into account by the government of India. Now this agreement is intended not to just protect, it is not just for security, but also to strengthen. And strengthen what? Social, cultural, linguistic, and community based identity. Overall, to retain their culture, their tradition, their identity in terms of social, cultural, linguistic, and community based identity. Assam Chief Minister, who is Himant Biswa Sarma, he said that people from tribal communities in the state were struggling for their rights for years, and some had picked up the gun. So this happens regularly. People have grievances in their mind. They have complaints, and when then no one hears them, then these groups become insurgent groups. So what exactly government has to do? They have to hear the grievances. Sometimes the grievances are real and they have some base to it. So instead of making them to pick up the gun, I think government should just hear the grievances and solve the complaints of those groups. In order to maintain peace, security of the region, this is very important. So in 2007, all these groups signed a ceasefire agreement with the center. What is ceasefire agreement? That they will not now will be in they will not be against the government now. They will no longer fire against the soldiers or army of the government. But we could not achieve a permanent solution to this issue. So through this agreement, I believe they will get justice. And we see that government has promised what? First is political, second is educational, and third is economic. all these aspirations of these people will be fulfilled. Now Sharma said that 1,182 people who had picked up the guns will now join the mainstream through this agreement. So this is such a good news, I think. When people move towards good reasons, good path, this makes a country more towards peace. I promise you will sincerely implement whatever is written in the accord. So it is that I promise you we will sincerely implement what is written in the accord. So this is what the news was. I think this center has signed pacts with 8 Assam groups. So it comes in internal security, and also it makes the security more intact in the northeast region. So we have seen that these days, in fact not these days, whenever the Look East policy and then Act East policy, these two policies have come, there is a more focus towards making this northeast area a more, you can say, aligned to India, and then also to make these areas infrastructure more intact in order to make connectivity more stronger with other regions of India. So I think this was in the direction of that as well, and also it was in the direction of to make peace in the region also. So we will see what more will be done in the future about such areas. So there is not much news here now in the page. This is also okay. This news is important. Almost all 9.25 lakh TB patients adopted for nutritional support. So why is this news? Because government has organized a campaign which is a Pradhan Mantri TB Free India campaign, and under this campaign there is, you can say, a portal which is called Nikshay portal. So according to this Nikshay portal, the person will, I think the citizens of India will take adoption of TB patients, and they will provide them finance as well as support, which is physical, mental, nutritional, and also psychological support. They will provide them, overall they will adopt them, and then all of the care will be given to the patient by the person. So, and also there was, I think, a politician, I will find out the name, who has himself adopted a patient. I think Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia, he has himself adopted a patient. So this is a news that came, I think, a week ago, I guess, yeah. So of 9.25 lakh TB patients in the country who had agreed to be adopted for nutritional support by the community, commitments for 9.24 lakh patients have already been received within a week, according to government's Nikshay portal. So this thing is clear that 9.24 lakh patients were ready to be adopted, and they have received the commitments for their adoption according to Nikshay portal. Now FICCI, which is Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, alone has committed to support 1 lakh patients. So this business chamber has alone committed to support 1 lakh patients, and under the program patients will receive monthly food baskets. Second is additional diagnostic support. Third, vocational training for families. So monthly food baskets is clear, then additional diagnostic support is also clear. What is vocational training for families? So because these TB patients are not able to earn because of their disease issues, so sometimes they are only the sole breadwinner, or can call sole earner of the family. So that is why other family members will be given vocational training in order to make them earn. Public participation will make the effort successful. I'm happy to share that Nikshay Mitras have shown commitments to help 9.24 lakh patients under the Pradhan Mantri TB Free India campaign. So what is the you can say threshold? What is exactly the year that they wish that India becomes TB free? It is 2025. So you should remember that by 2025 India wishes to be a TB Mukt, or you can call TB free India. This 9.25 lakh TB patients had given their consent for help on the Nikshay 2.0 portal. So obviously consent of the patient is important. Without their consent you cannot make them adopt it. So all of them have given consent, and then registrations has also come. Also donors have sent their commitments. 2818 Nikshay Mitras, who are individuals, public representatives, corporations, NGOs who will adopt these patients. They have already been confirmed by the respective TB officers for support to 2.77 lakh patients. And after this commitment, a voluntary donor are connected with a TB officer from the area they wish to be support the patient. So what exactly is the criteria, or you can say what exactly is the plan? So when a donor wants to take adoption of a patient, then he has to first connect with the TB officer. Then TB officer will go through the list of patients who have consented, and then the TB officer will provide details to the donor on condition that they do not share it. So this personal you can say data will be provided to such donor, and when they will confirm it, then the adoption process will be done. So of Nikshay Mitras already confirmed 1730, which is 61.4%, are individuals. So these have taken the adoption, these are individuals. Then come NGOs, 325 NGOs have taken adoption, 162 institutions, 86 corporate entities, 84 political parties, 56 elected representatives, 18 cooperatives, 357 and others. All of these have taken, they have given commitment to support patient. Now Health Ministry in collaboration with ICMR, National Institution of Nutrition, this both have developed two options for monthly food basket that can be provided by the donors. So first basket will contain 3 kg cereals or millets, 1.5 kg pulses, 250 gram vegetable cooking oil, and 1 kg milk powder, 6 liters of milk, or 1 kg groundnut. So all this will be given in the food basket. Also non-vegetarian options will have 30 eggs. This is not that important. I think you must remember this, the macro thing, that they will be supported by Nikshay Mitra. For children, the basket has to contain 2 kg cereals or millets, 1 kg pulses, 150 gram vegetable oil, 750 gram milk powder, 3.5 liters of milk, 0.7 kg groundnut. So remembering this thing is not that important. We are more interested in the public participation, or you can call Nikshay Mitra, who are helping these TB patients for any kind of support that they are giving. We will see more of this in the future, and what exactly this news means for us, that if all of the Indians come together in order to eradicate disease, it is no longer an impossibility. We have eradicated polio, and then TB is the next one that we seek to eradicate. So then comes another page, which is in deep freeze electoral bond case may come up in Supreme Court on September 19th. So we will see, only this headline is important. We will see on September 2019 what will be the decision, or what will be the debate that will happen in Supreme Court. So I think this is more, headline is only important. We will see that when the news will come. Now next come EWS quota. So since I think 4 or 5 days we have been discussing this quota, this discussion is going on in Supreme Court. So what next has come? So for starters, I will tell that this quota has been hearing has been heard for I think 4 to 5 days. And what exactly are the topics? First is whether this EWS quota is constitutional or unconstitutional, and then whether it violates the equality code or not. And third thing which is checked is whether it is based on basic structure of constitution or not. And what exactly is the question that has been asked by Supreme Court for the government is that how exactly have you made that 8 lakh threshold. So we will see what exactly now the debate has come to. The Supreme Court on Thursday asked petitioners who are opposing the quota for EWS that why economic conditions cannot be the basis for granting reservation. So this is the question, why exactly economic conditions cannot be the basis. So Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt, who is also part of 5-judge constitutional bench, he asked that after 75 years, we still see generations of poverty. There is a large mass of people who are falling in the below poverty line category. So why then there can't be an economic based affirmative action? So he is asking this question. In theory, government schools are available, jobs are available, but these people are as disadvantaged as others. So per se, what's so wrong if they don't belong to homogeneous groups? So he's talking that, so whenever there is a quota or a reservation for everyone, they belongs to a homogeneous group. What exactly that means? That SCs are given reservation, STs are given reservation, and then EWS. So poverty is not a caste, or poverty is not anything that comes within a homogeneous group, within the same people. Poverty can be for any poverty is for anyone. So a general person can be poor, SC can be poor, ST can be poor, or other backward classes, women, girls can be poor. So Supreme Court is asking that what's so wrong if they don't belong to homogeneous groups. So EWS contains all those people who have income of less than 8 lakh per year, and also they should not come in the 50% quota that is given for these I think SEBCs, socially and economically backward classes. So this is the criteria. So all of those persons can come in the group. So this is a heterogeneous groups. Now the bench is presided by Chief Justice of India UU Lalit and also comprises Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, Pilam Trivedi, JP Pardiwala. They all are hearing petitions that is challenging the constitutional validity, which means whether this 103rd amendment that introduces 10% quota for EWS is constitutionally valid or not. This EWS quota is for government jobs and also admissions in both government and private institutions. So this has come with a NEET case. Yeah, I think NEET, which is for medical colleges, it was raised at that time. Justice Bhatt posed the query when Advocate Shadan Farasat appeared for the petitioners, contended that, so he said, this person said that 103rd amendment, it violated the equality code and in turn the basic structure of the constitution. So he is calling that this 103rd amendment is violating the equality code, it's violating the basic structure of constitution. And how exactly? By exempting backward classes from it. So this is being called by this person. Now responding to this counsel, CJI UU Lalit have said that EWS may not have been extended to backward classes as they already have reservations. So we see backward classes have reservations, OBCs 27%, and then SEBCs all of this, if you account for, then 50% is the threshold. The idea with which this amendment is introduced, I think, is that because there is already a protective umbrella given to backward classes, giving them some kind of protection, and that is why they are excluded, because they are already there in the 27%, in the 50% reservations. So that is why CGI said that they are not included in this EWS. But Farasat said that EWS quota and backward class reservations are different. The quota for backward classes is a quota for group and not an individual. It is to correct historical wrongs, to ensure representation. It speaks to the group. So he's talking about SCs and STs, that a lot of historical wrongs have been done. They have been excluded from the society. So that is why, in order to ensure their representation now in the society, this quota for backward classes has been given. It is about a group. Now EWS quota speaks to the individual, on the economic condition of that individual. So he said, adding that it will therefore be impermissible to say that backwards won't be included in the EWS as they already have the other reservations. He said there are other affirmative actions which can be pursued to solve problems of economically disadvantaged sections, and it need not necessarily be reservation. Now he is talking that do not give them reservation, instead of this solve their problems by other methods, other affirmative methods. So this was, I think, whole of the debate. So what are the gains of today's debate? We see that there is a clash between groups and individuals, that this reservation which is given to backward classes is for group and EWS is for individual. We will see when this hearing will continue and what exactly the Supreme Court will say. So 2 hearings are nowadays coming, I think, daily, or you can say alternate days. First is EWS quota and second is about the hijab case. Both are very interesting cases and they are to decide the future of this country. So now we will see the next page, which is Express Network. Now center has filed affidavit, can't admit medical undergrads from Ukraine in India, government to Supreme Court. So okay, this may have come a very serious, I think, shock to the students who are actually medical undergrads, because they came with the hope in India that their studies will continue. But now what government has said, that they cannot admit medical undergrads in India. So what exactly is the reason? We will see why government has called for such bold statements. So Indian undergraduates, medical students who fled Ukraine due to war cannot be accommodated in country's medical colleges. This is a statement we see. So in its affidavit filed in the Supreme Court, Union Ministry of Health pointed out it had already introduced some proactive measures to assist the returnee students. So Union Ministry of Health has said that they have taken measures to assist the returnee students. But what about their education? Any further relaxation, the ministry said, including transfer or to medical colleges in India, would be divorce, which means outside the scope of the provision of Indian Medical Council Act 1956 and National Medical Commission Act 2019. So this is the reason, because including these students to medical colleges in India would be outside the provision of this IMCA and National Medical Commission Act. So these 2 acts are violated because of such admission. So allowing such transfer would seriously hamper the standards of medical education in India. This is also the second reason, that if you allow these students to come in the medical colleges, that it can hamper the standard of medical education. Now, the top court is due to hear a plea by students Fridays. In an affidavit, Health Minister said that it has examined the issue elaborately with the National Medical Commission, the country's apex regulatory body for medical education. It's the highest top ordered regulatory body which manages medical education. What is the name? National Medical Commission. So it said while the MNC has so far not allowed to transfer or accommodate any foreign medical student in any Indian medical institute, university. So this thing is clear, they have not allowed any foreign medical student that have came from Ukraine or any other country also in any Indian medical institute. The regulatory body has allowed medical graduates with incomplete internship due to their leaving their colleges or universities abroad in the view of the war or COVID pandemic to complete the remaining part of internship in India. So things are clear. If you are doing internship and you left your internship because of the war, then only you can get a chance to complete remaining part of internship in India, not anything about regular studies or education. This is only about internship. And you see internship come when, I think, after 4th year of medical studies, 5th year is the internship period. Ministry said that current petitioners, however, appear to be undergrads who are in the 1st to 4th year of studies in the foreign medical colleges, who are seeking transfer to Indian Medical College in their respective semesters. So this is the main issue, that these students who are studying currently in 1st to 4th year, who are not doing internship, getting education, medical education, they are seeking their transfer. So there are no such provisions. There are no such provisions under both of these acts. Neither there is such provisions under Indian Medical Council Act or under National Medical Council Act, as well as regulations to accommodate or transfer medical students from any foreign medical institute to Indian medical colleges. There is no such thing as like that. Only government is helping in terms of, you can call, those students who are doing internship. So ministry said that to help such returnee students, the NMC in consultation with Ministry of External Affairs issued a public notice on September 6th. And what was that notice? The statement is indicating that NMC would accept completion of the remaining course in other foreign countries with approval of the parent university institutions in Ukraine. So government is trying to make these students' courses complete, these semesters completed in other foreign institutions with approval of course, Ukrainian universities. So if Ukrainian universities permit, then India do not want to admit these students in Indian universities, except to that these students can study abroad in other foreign countries. It however added that public notice cannot be interpreted to mean accommodation of the students in Indian colleges or Indian universities, as the extant regulation in India do not permit migration of students from foreign universities to India. So it's talking that do not consider this notice as accommodation to Indian universities, because there is no such rule, there is no such provision of taking foreign university students to Indian universities, and that it cannot be used as a backdoor entry in Indian colleges or universities offering undergraduate courses. The ministry said most of the petitioner students has opted to study in foreign countries because they had poor scores in the NEET exam and due to the affordability of medical education in such countries. So this is very clear. We see this as a mirror thing. Why exactly these students are studying in Ukraine? And this, I think this decision is very much clear and very much, I would say, it retains to its equality and do not do partiality, because a lot of students do a lot of serious hard work in order to get into top institutions of India, which are run by government, top medical government colleges. They do a lot of hard work. And if these uh, undergrads who have low scores in NEET and they seek to Ukraine in order to just get the degree and then come to India and then serve as a doctor, I think that is very good thing. You do medical study in abroad and then come to India or anywhere else. But Indian medical colleges that are run by government have their own reputation. Only top merit students can get admitted to that institutions. There cannot be a back door entry in such colleges and institutions that have offered undergraduate courses. So decision is true. I think if they want to study, they were studying in Ukraine, so they can study in any other country also. So there can be a factor that studies will have to be affordable. So we will see how these students will react to it, because it's a sensitive issue. Now this is Karnataka hijab ban hearing. It also comes nearly every day. We'll see what interesting debate now has come today. Ambedkar remarks cited in High Court order offensive, Supreme Court has told. Muslim appellants who have challenged the hijab ban in Karnataka told that P.R. Ambedkar's statement extracted in the High Court judgment is deeply offensive and totally biased, and it is not one that should be repeated in India. So what was the statement? Ambedkar's statement, although he was a pillar, is deeply offensive statement. It is not a statement that should be repeated in India, great though he may have been. It was totally biased statement. So this is by senior advocate Colin Gonsalves, who is representing some of the appellants. They are talking that his statement was a biased statement, though Ambedkar was a very great man. But this statement should not be repeated in India again. Now these comments come following an exchange with the bench about the High Court judgment. Gonsalves said that the judgment read as a whole is basically from the majoritarian perspective. He's talking that whatever judgment has come from the High Court, it is based on majoritarian perspective. It does not conform to the kind of constitutional independence that a judgment ought to have. Startling paragraphs and hurtful paragraphs. So he's talking that these judgments were not sensitive enough for the minority community. Explaining why the order cannot be relied upon, why the High Court order, which was given by Karnataka High Court, cannot be relied upon. Gonsalves referred to part of the verdict linking the wearing of hijab to cultural practices of the past. So he has now linked this wearing of hijab to cultural practices that has been done by Muslim women in the past. Also women emancipation and also developing a scientific temperament. So he now said that according to High Court, hijab is not a part of religion. Said that I wear the hijab, but according to High Court, I can't be emancipated. I wear the hijab, I can't have scientific temperament, he submitted. So he is now talking that wearing hijab do not have any correlation with scientific temperament or emancipation of women. He said that order links wearing of hijab with indiscipline and chaos, with social separateness and sectarianism of every kind. He said that High Court order, it links wearing hijab with indiscipline in the school, in the colleges. Also chaos. Intervening Justice Thulia, he said that this was in reference to what Dr. Ambedkar has said at some point of time. So it is not the judge saying it. He also said that the verdict, so which was given by High Court, the order, it cannot be read like a statute. Cherry picking, this was said in some different context. He's now talking that this was said in the perspective of majoritarian. He then asked constables to read the part where the verdict quotes Ambedkar's statement as extracted from his book Pakistan or Partition of India. So now Supreme Court asked that what is exactly the statement? How can you relate that to Ambedkar's statement? So now referring to Ambedkar's statement, High Court has said in its order. So what is the High Court? First, the order has said first is what the chief architect of our constitution observed more than half a century ago about the parda practice equally applies to wearing of hijab. There is a lot of scope for the argument that insistence on wearing of parda, veil or headgear in any community may hinder the process of emancipation of women in general and Muslim women in particular. So this was a statement. So B.R. Ambedkar has called about women who live in veil and parda that their emancipation is not possible if they live in such thing. So this is the High Court order. This was actually the High Court order. So in answer to that, Justice Thulia said that let's not mix the entire thing. And gone slaves now said that not keeping with the constitutional values and certainly not respectful of the rights of minority communities. He said that this order that has come has not kept sensitive view to the rights of minority community, has not retained respectful of such rights. He asked why the hijab cannot be allowed. If Sikhs can be allowed to wear turban, Constitution is a living organism, you change with the times. What was previously not acceptable but today has to be accepted. So, the senior advocate Kapil Sibal, who is also appearing for appellants, he said the matter should be referred to a constitutional bench, stating that what you wear is an expression of the self. So, the clothes you wear are obviously expression of the self. So this thing is also being debated a lot since the start of this hijab case. And he said the question is if the right to wear hijab is available to me in a public place, is my fundamental right extinguished when I enter school? So this is the main thing I think that has been a clash, that in government school you have to wear the uniform, and the appeal persons are asking that why can't I wear hijab to the school? He said wearing a hijab is also part of one persona and cultural tradition. He asked, do I have a right to carry on my cultural tradition, or does that stop at a college gate? So we have seen that France is a country which do not permit any such cultural tradition in its country, in its school and institution. Only uniform is the rule there. So this is what India tries to seek here also, and that thing has also been debated. Now the court will hear the matter next on September 19th. We will see there also. So today's news was about B.R. Ambedkar's statement, that how this was related to High Court judgment, and second was about the expression, which is also a fundamental right, freedom of expression, faith, belief and worship. You know that it also been written in preamble 2. So these two things were major noting from this news. So now comes this Express Network. Also this has not such main news. So now next comes the explain page. So first is about understanding the resilience of Indian markets. So this is about Sensex and Nifty, all that things. So we are not interested in Indian markets. We are more interested in Indian economy as a whole. So I think this news is not important. Then comes US Park and F-16 package. So this is about diplomacy, foreign policy and strategy. So we will lead to the subheading, why has the Biden administration broken Trump's freeze on military ties with Islamabad with a 450 million package for a lifetime upgrade of Pakistan F-16 fleet, and what is the view like from New Delhi? So we will see first what is the news, why is the news has come. On Wednesday, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on Twitter, he said that he has conveyed concern to his American counterpart Lloyd Austin on the US decision to provide Pakistan with a 450 million package for what the Pentagon has called F-16 case for sustainment and related equipment. So what is Pentagon? Pentagon is, you can call, Defense Ministry of US. So Rajnath Singh has tried to make his own concerns to the American side, that why exactly it is providing Pakistan this package for F-16 sustainment and also related equipments. So Singh said that the conversation ended warmly with a discussion on growing convergence of strategic interest and enhanced defense and security cooperation. So they have discussed about growing convergence of both these countries, India and US, for strategic interest and also to enhance defense and security cooperation between these two countries. Now the two ministers discussed ways to strengthen technological and also industrial collaboration between India and US, and also explore cooperation in coming emerging and critical technologies. So all these things were also discussed, and there was also a first public statement that was by India on the latest US F-16 package to Pakistan. The Ministry of External Affairs has been quiet. The ministry officials have said that they communicated India's objection to the US officials who were in New Delhi for 2+2 intersessional and maritime security dialogue, and also for Quad senior officials meeting at the time of announcement. What exactly is this deal about? So this deal is the first American military assistance package to Pakistan after the Trump administration ended defense and security cooperation with the Pakistan in 2018. So this is the first one that America has restarted. Trump administration ended every defense and security cooperation with Pakistan in 2016. And why exactly? Because it has accused Pakistan of lies and deceit, and for the billions of dollars that the US has foolishly given it. So this was a statement by Trump. So now Department of Defense read out Austin calls with Singh, made no mention of India's concern on the F-16 package. They said that it demonstrates strategic autonomy to engage with every side. So India has a strategic autonomy, it can make its decision on itself. Autonomy means that you have the power to make decisions about yourself, to engage with every side. So India has engaged with Quad 1 week, then Russia and China. It has started to meet them in the SEO. We have already read that in today's newspaper. In Samarkand, India appears determined to swallow its disappointment. So after all, if New Delhi can stay away from zero-sum games, work around Western sanctions to buy oil from Russia, and keep friends in all camps, then what prevents the US from pleasing a non-NATO ally? So this is that you see West countries have put a lot of pressure on India to not buy oil from Russia. But Delhi stay away from all these games. And Delhi have bought oil from Russia and had kept friends in all camps. That means it had kept friends in all regions. whether it is Central Asia, Western Asia, Indo-Pacific, or West, or Europe, then why exactly US is not pleasing a non-NATO ally, which is India, talking about India. So what exactly is the package to Pakistan? According to September 7th, Defense Security Cooperation Agency has a press release that included a 450 million package for technical and logistical support services for follow-on support of F-16 fleet. So in order to support Pakistan F-16 fleet for its technical and logistical services, these 450 million packages have been given. So this is package given to look out for several technical coordination groups and also to maintain aircraft and engine hardware, for software modifications, support, for equipment support, for manuals for precision measurement, and also a range of related elements of aircraft management maintenance. So you see, for this 450 million package has been given in order to maintain these F-16s, nothing else. So this is, I think, clear, and we are not interested in more of this Pakistan. We are only interested what it leads for India. So India, Pakistan and aircraft, what is its relation, what is its impact on India, that thing is more important. So India, Pakistan and aircraft, according to Brigadier Rahul Bhonsle, who is retired, who runs the online portal Security Risk Asia, the sustainment program for Pakistan F-16 fleet would enhance conventional deterrence versus India. So he's talking that if you make these aircraft more sustained and if you maintain them, then obviously the threat to India increases, and deterrence versus India. Deterrence means, I think, going against, the power to go against India increases. He says that the last aerial skirmish between Pakistan and India on February 29, 2019, during which Pakistan Air Force brought down MiG-21 that was flown by Indian Air Force pilot Abhinandan Vardhaman, showed that this F-16 is the aircraft that Pakistan will use in any future encounter with India. So 2019 this event occurred. Pakistan brought down a MiG-21 by using the F-16 aircraft. So India will have to effectively enhance conventional combat capability of the Indian Air Force to continue to meet the challenge of a resurgent Pakistan Air Force. So he said that if these airplanes F-16 are maintained, these fighter jets are maintained, then India have to increase its own combat capability. Sliced another way, the package could also be a US signal to both Islamabad and New Delhi that it is time to break the long impasse in relation. So it is also, US may also be trying to become a median, or you can call mediator, between India and Pakistan in order to end the conflict, in order to maintain peace. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message of commercialization with Pakistan over the floods did not lead to any further steps, especially after Prime Minister Sharif ruled out the tentative suggestion of trade with India by his Finance Minister Miftah Ismail. So there was floods in Pakistan. You know that Prime Minister Modi have given a lot of humanitarian assistance in terms that India and Pakistan could start trade, but Prime Minister Sharif ruled out such suggestions of trade with India. And at the time of writing, no meeting was scheduled between the two PMs in Samarkand, but it has not been ruled out either. So there is a SEO meeting, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So the writer is talking that when I was writing this article, there was no meeting that was scheduled between the two PMs in Samarkand. And today also we have not seen any such meeting that has been scheduled. But neither it has been ruled out, that has not been confirmed that it will not happen. So we only have the option to guess that whether they will talk or not. So I think in 1-2 days it will come clear what was the talk, if it happened, and if it does not happen, then we will see next forward that what will happen between India and Pakistan. Next come the word news. Putin meets Xi in Samarkand. Highly appreciate China's balanced war stand. So this is about SEO, and this is not interrelated. When India will go there, and then only we will see how such meeting takes place between India and other countries. Lanka won't be part of any Indian Ocean turf war. This has been said by Ranil. So why this news has come? Because there was a ship which was Yuan Wong 5 that was docked in Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. And why this ship was exactly docked? In order to spy in India's southern bases, India's southern naval bases. This ship was deployed in Sri Lanka to keep an eye on India's activities. So now what exactly this Sri Lanka is trying to do? Sri Lanka supported China. So in spite of India's concern that it has shown with Sri Lanka that just do not dock this ship, but then again it docked the ship. So that is why Sri Lanka is now trying to be at the safe position. And what exactly Sri Lanka is saying, that Sri Lanka will not take part in any big power rivalry in the Indian Ocean. And it is unfortunate that his country has been made the punching bag for Hambantota. So both sides. So this is kind of funny also, because both sides, India and China, clashed over the docking of high-tech Chinese ship at the country's southern port. And Sri Lanka has just become the sandwich between the two countries, or call itself punching bag. So both these countries, India and China, are not fighting face to face, but creating a punching bag of Sri Lanka. Both are pushing it. Vikram Singhe said that Indian Ocean region needs to be open to all to ensure freedom of navigation. This is important for commerce to carry on. We have to remember that the bulk of the petroleum supply and energy supply to the world goes to the Indian Ocean. He's talking for free and open Indian Ocean. Also talking that most of the trade and petroleum supply, energy supply goes to this ocean. Large amount of shipping goes through Indian Ocean. We don't want this to be an area of conflict and an area of war, he said in a speech that he made at the National Defence College on Wednesday. Also, he's trying to confirm that Sri Lanka will not participate in military alliances and does not want the problems of Pacific coming into the Indian Ocean. So Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, Indo-Pacific is the region that is new for US to navigate, and then China is trying to make its own aggression in this region, which any country do not like. So you do not want the problem of Pacific coming into Indian Ocean, he said while speaking to crisis hit country's position on geopolitical stage. So what is this crisis hit country? This is about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is talking about his own position on this geopolitical stage. When it comes to security of Sri Lanka, we are of the view that in looking after the security of Sri Lanka, we must also ensure nothing adverse happen to the security of India. So good news come in. He has at least said the name of India, and also he has ensured that nothing would happen to the security of India. Sri Lanka somewhat knows in his heart that China has only intention to trap Sri Lanka. In fact, it has trapped it in the debt trap, in the loan trap. But India is the country that is seriously helping Sri Lanka with all its heart open. And Sri Lanka has also postponed this docking of ship. But because of the pressure from the China, because of the loan, it was liable to make its port leasable for such a docking of Yuan Wong 5. But deeply it cares for its neighbor, so that is why it has said that nothing adverse will happen to security of India. They ensure that, and that we have to be committed to. We will go ahead with it. There will be no movement out of it. So they are now trying to say it. But China's move does not seem so. It has docked the ship in order to spy into India's naval bases, India's southern ports. So this was a kind of good news, but we will see how these will shape India, China, and Sri Lanka's trilateral cooperation. Now this is economy page, and FSDC early warning indicators 2023 G20 presidency in focus. 26th meeting headed by finance minister. So there is a council, Finance Stability and Development Council, which is headed by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Thursday. She underscores the need for continuous monitoring of risk in the financial sector so that necessary action can be taken on time to mitigate any vulnerability. So I will tell you only about important points in this news, because when G20 presidency will be taken, then only important news will come. So she said that there were issues that were relating to financial sector that can be taken up during the India's G20 presidency in 2023. And this meeting comes at a time when key central banks are aggressively raising interest rates to curb runaway inflation, talking about US, talking about UK. And while the conflict in Ukraine continues to pose risk to both inflation and growth forecast. So this is, I think this was only important, and only we will see how exactly the G20 presidency will come out. It is on the focus, and so this is trying to, so one thing that we can get from this news is that the issues relating to financial sector in India can be taken up during India's G20 presidency in 2023. So this is important. Now Saudi pips Russia to be India's number 2 oil supplier in August. So Saudi Arabia emerged as the second biggest oil supplier to India after 3 months gap, overtaking Russia by thin margin, while Iraq retained at the top spot. So what is the you see what is the rank? First is Iraq, second is Saudi Arabia, and third comes Russia. So what exactly are the barrels per day? So from India, which is the third biggest oil importer and consumers, Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia gives 863 950, so 863,000 we can call it barrels per day. Then from Russia 855,000 barrels per day. So it has come, Saudi Arabia came second. So I think only this thing is important, that Saudi Arabia became second, and Russia. So this is also important that Russia is coming down as oil exporter to India. So this comes an end to the newspaper, and you can read this newspaper as well. So if you find this news more interesting, then you can read this. I think only headline was important, because what else can we see? of this news. The things come up and down. Sometimes some country become biggest important, then comes next, second, third rank. So if you find this interesting, you can read this as well.